Thank you for joining us with the news. My name is Diana Sumbwe. The headlines. Government says it will proceed with the constitution refinement process with or without the participation of the opposition alliance. National Democratic Congress consultant Chishimba Kambwili has been released on a 3,000 kwacha cash bail after spending a night in police cells. And Agriculture Minister Michael Katambo says government has so far paid over 500 million kwacha to agri-dealers under the e-voucher system. And other news in detail. Justice Minister Given Lubinda says the constitution refinement process will go ahead next month with or without the participation of the opposition alliance. Mr. Lubinda says the constitution refinement process will commence as scheduled in the second week of March. He says that government is confident that once this process is complete, the Constitution Amendment Bill, which requires a 2/3 majority vote in Parliament, will go through. Speaking at a media briefing in Lusaka, Mr. Lubinda has expressed hope that some members of Parliament from the opposition will vote with the ruling party to pass the bill. He states that this is why government believes that the constitution refinement process will succeed despite the indication by the opposition alliance not to take part in the process. Mr. Lubinda says government will still solicit all political parties for their input in the draft Constitution Amendment Bill and the Public Order Act Amendment Bill during refinement process. The Justice Minister has also clarified that by launching the Constitution refinement process in March, government has not curtailed the national dialogue process.
Yes, the opposition alliance may use the arrogance of the numbers that they have in Parliament. They are aware of the fact that the Patriotic Front alone will not have the 2/3 majority. And Mr. Chishimba Kambwili was speaking yesterday on behalf of the UPND and saying all UPND MPs will not participate. Let me make it clear to Mr. Chishimba Kambwili that he's reading the people wrong. Because they are among UPND MPs, they are among independents, MPs who know their duty to their constituents and to their country. And if Mr. Chishimba Kambwili is going to stop any member of Parliament from participating in their constitutional duty, he will be committing yet another offense. You must be aware of that. So as government, we are confident. We have every trust in all members of Parliament. This is the reason why we are starting with a workshop of members of Parliament, so that they too can have an opportunity to be heard before they go into Parliament to go and debate their amendments. And if Mr. Chishimba Kambwili will stay away, he's welcome. He can stay away. But if he has ideas to share, genuinely, he certainly will take part.
And Mr. Lubinda has encouraged the opposition alliance to speedily report President Edgar Lungu to the International Criminal Court ICC, as delaying in doing so is creating anxiety in the country. He says if the opposition alliance has no evidence against President Lungu, the alliance and UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema in particular should be bold enough to apologize to the head of state. Mr. Lubinda says this is especially if Mr. Hichilema, who has several times accused President Lungu of wanting to assassinate him, wants to dialogue with the president.
If he doesn't have that evidence or is not willing to address that evidence and he still desires to proceed with dialogue with President Lungu, he must do what honorable people do. And what honorable people do when their bluff is called is to tender an apology, to retract and to tender an apology. That's what honorable people do. When a matter is presented to the ICC or any other body for that matter, the government will deal with that matter in accordance with the applicable procedures. We will follow the laid down procedures to handle the matter. For now, we shall leave it to Mr. Hakainde and the UPND to proceed with what they are saying they will do to go to the ICC. They are at liberty to do so. I just want to emphasize that President Edgar Lungu and his government have absolutely no intention whatsoever to assassinate anyone. We don't have such an intention whatsoever.
National Democratic Congress NDC consultant Chishimba Kambwili has been granted a 3,000 kwacha cash bail with 2 working sureties, each to pay 8,000 kwacha in case of default by the accused. And Mr. Kambwili has pleaded not guilty to the charge of expression of showing hatred, ridicule or contempt for persons because of race, tribe or place of origin or color, contrary to Section 70 of the Penal Code, Cap 87 of the laws of Zambia. Mr. Kambwili is also facing a separate charge of disobeying lawful orders in connection with the incident at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport, where he is alleged to have forced himself into a restricted area. The one member of parliament took plea before Magistrate Humphrey Chulu. Mr. Kambwili's lawyer Gilbert Piri proceeded to apply for bail for his client, who spent a night in police custody. In applying for bail, Mr. Piri told the court that his client is a known figure in society and has been appearing in various courts for different cases where he has not breached bail conditions in other cases. The prosecution team did not object the bail application but requested that it be granted in Mr. Kambwili's own recognizance so as to enable him appear in court. The matter has since been adjourned to 18th March for mention, while trial has been set for April 8th and 9th. And Mr. Kambwili, who spoke to journalists after being released, complained over how long it took for him to be freed from police custody.
All I can say is they will try to intimidate me, but they will never manage. And I want to tell them, you can arrest me as so many times as possible, deny bail, but you are dealing with a man who has some katina kunsi. For the sake of this country, to save this country from these kabwalalas, these crooks, these failed projects, I am ready to die just like Jesus died for the people. So it is up to you, the people of Zambia, to know. Me, I was merely speaking for you. These jobs are for Zambians and not for any foreigner. Then I should be called that I'm being racist. How can you allow in a country where so many youths roam the street, you are beating street vendors because they have no jobs? Where I was in sales, they brought so many street vendors who have been beaten for selling 2 shirts. Now, you are getting the jobs that they are supposed to get. Instead of selling on the street, you are giving them to foreigners. When somebody speaks, you say go and arrest him. All I can say.
Agriculture Minister Michael Katambo has revealed that government has so far paid over 500 million kwacha to agro-dealers under the e-voucher system. Mr. Katambo told Parliament in a ministerial statement that as at 4th February 2019, a total of 998,791, representing 99.9% of the targeted 1 million farmers in both e-voucher and direct input supply districts, had successfully deposited their contribution. Mr. Katambo says a total of 854,799 farmers redeemed their inputs. And Mr. Katambo has described the 2018-2019 e-voucher distribution program as a success despite the challenges in the implementation of the program. Mr. Katambo attributed some of the challenges in delivering all the required quantities of legume seed on time to failure by some contracted suppliers to source for seed. And the minister has warned all agro-dealers who have mismanaged the 2018-2019 agriculture season that they risk being blacklisted.
I'm concerned with this program because all the 4 years you have given, why it failed in 2018, you have not mentioned the government who are actually the major driver of this program. Could you explain to us what is real the fundamental issues which are making this program to be worsening every year? For example, this is the West period, and you see the draft next year.
The reason I'm asking this question is that in constituency, literally almost every day I receive phone calls. The last 2 days, the farmers have not gotten any inputs. And I don't know what system you're using. Could you also just advise whether you're using a mixed method, meaning the direct input supply as well as the e-voucher, or one constituency or district as one or the other. Thank you.
And these constituencies are reflected in past times, such that the 2018-2019 constituency was also born. When will the ministry conclude this important exercise? Because, Mr. Speaker, even in Kazungula, some are still waiting. They are following question to explain, but nothing was voted.
Mr. Speaker, government will blacklist the agro-dealers that have been found to have conducted their business in an ethical manner from participating in the program going forward. Mr. Speaker, the ministry will also sensitize the agro-dealers on the do's and don'ts in participating in the program, and further, the ministry will step up the monitoring of various agro-dealer outlets across the country.
Government has been challenged to explain the logic in inviting the International Criminal Court ICC to Zambia when the opposition alliance has already hinted on doing so. Former Finance Minister Ngandu Magande does not think it is necessary for government to send another request to the ICC to investigate complaints against it. Mr. Magande is of the view that as opposed to inviting the International Criminal Court, the Zambian government should instead wait for an opportunity to reply to the accusations that the opposition alliance will file with the court. In an interview with Q News, Mr. Magande says the fact that government has agreed to allow the International Criminal Court investigate the allegations by the opposition, all what remains is for the opposition alliance to adduce its evidence. Mr. Magande believes the hearing on the matters the opposition alliance wants the ICC to investigate will make a very good case study for the country. Mr. Magande, who was cabinet minister under the Levi Mwanawasa-led MMD government, says he was personally frustrated by the kind of violence that was recently exhibited in Sesheke.
I don't think it is necessary for the government to send another request for them to say, you come. In any case, the ICC, if they've received a complaint from the Alliance of Opposition, then you can't invite them to come here to look at the issues as a government, because they are complaining against you as a government. What is the point of you inviting them to look at you? If you have any reply, just say, can you send us a copy of the complaints, and then just reply and send them your reply directly. Why should they come here? And since the government of Zambia is a signatory to an international court, let those who are going to court go, and then you hear the evidence when actually the ICC calls up a meeting for hearing. And then that's when we will know, because I'm sure everybody will want to know what evidence is there. Is it only what we saw on the TV? And
Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampiongo says his ministry intends to recruit 3,000 police officers this year. Mr. Kampiongo was responding to a question by Mukushi North Member of Parliament Doreen Mwape, who wanted to know how many police officers were recruited from 2015 to 2018, year by year, when the next recruitment will be undertaken, and how many police officers will be recruited. In response, Mr. Kampiongo told the House that 3,200 police officers were recruited between 2015 to 2018. He said the recruitment was only done in 2015 and 2018. Mr. Kampiongo explained that 1,700 police officers were recruited in 2015, while 1,500 were recruited in 2018. And Mr. Kampiongo said the next recruitment will only be done once the Ministry of Finance gives the go-ahead.
Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the Parliament MP for that very important question. And I want to agree with that, that yes, indeed, we are putting up infrastructure across the country, and this infrastructure will certainly require officers to man. And so we shall progressively recruit, and we are in serious discussions with the Ministry of Finance, because we also have to be realistic that there are competing needs against the same pressure where we need to grow resources for recruitment. But you are very saying we had 1,700 in 2015, 1,500 last year, 2018, and our desire is to double the number of what we had this year, or last year rather, from 1,000 to 3,000, because then we can progressively start addressing the police population ratio as required.
Higher Education Minister Nkanduluo has noted the need for enhanced partnerships between Zambia and India in the areas of human capital development, scientific research and exchange programs. Professor Luo says India has invested heavily in science and technology which Zambia can benchmark from. Speaking in New Delhi, India, when she conferred with the Indian Council of Medical Research Director General Balram Bhargava, Professor Luo said Zambia is looking forward to signing a memorandum of understanding with India in human development and health research programs because the country has lost a lot of lives due to HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria and cholera, as well as non-communicable diseases. She explained that Zambia is willing to work with India in research activities to improve the quality of lives of the people. Professor Luo has since urged the Indian Top Research and Development Institute to work with Zambia's High Commissioner to India, Judith Kabijimpanga, in expeditiously working towards signing a memorandum of understanding.
We could get some work going together in that area, both in terms of research and also in terms of product development. And we can make available even some investments back home, if that is of interest to yourselves, so that some of the products can be produced locally, because it will be much cheaper for us to be able to access some of those products in the area of health.
Under that, if we could just have a small MOU with these clear areas of exchange of manpower and building capacity, and also for research and technology.
And Indian Council of Medical Research Director General Professor Balram Bhargava says his organization has clocked 100 years of guiding the government of India in policy direction through its 26 research institutes. Professor Bhargava says his institution will move with the speed to work with Zambia, especially in HIV, AIDS and malaria research, further stating that his institution has also conducted a lot of research in elephantiasis. World Vision Zambia and Barclays Bank Zambia PLC have signed a memorandum of understanding aimed at improving the well-being of more than 15,000 underprivileged children and their families in Chongwe and Chilanga districts with an investment of about 1.1 million kwacha. World Vision Zambia National Director John Hayes says the memorandum of understanding will see the two organizations helping the construction of a 1x3 classroom block at Chipata Secondary School in Chilanga, as well as provision of portable water to the maternity annex at Kampekete Rural Health Center in Chongwe, among other projects. Speaking during the signing ceremony in Lusaka, Mr. Hayes emphasized that enhancing people's access to health services and the basic necessities of life is at the core of the Memorandum of Understanding. Mr. Hayes believes that this will, in the long run, transform the livelihoods of the people.
So our goal is to see that even out and maybe even increase for the girls, because of how Barclays will be providing those sanitary products, feminine products for those girls, and ensuring that they have a dignified and safe place to clean themselves during their menses. And that's a traumatic time for young girls. And so they're embarrassed. They don't want to go to school because they feel like somebody's going to make fun of them. And yet Barclays has come alongside them and said, we're going to address these real social needs with you and walk with you through this. So we just say thank you on behalf of those girls, that we're going to transform their lives. And while these are, I do want to say this is really exciting for us as World Vision, because this partnership, while what we're signing today and some of the initial products that I've talked about and changes that we've talking about, it's going to be happening just for this year. That's what we're doing this year. But the MOU lasts for 3 years, and that's an exciting thing for me, because it takes our partnership and it means we can do much more in terms of transforming lives.
And Barclays Bank Zambia Managing Director Mzinga Melu said the 3-year partnership is timely because this is what people expect from them. Ms. Melu says Barclays Bank Zambia PLC has invested over 50 million kwacha in the last 2 years in different programs through shared growth strategy.
because a year is not enough. A year is when you're just starting and identifying the needs, identifying the projects. But for you to really see that fruit of a young lady saying, my life has now changed, maybe I was in primary school, I'm now in secondary, it takes more than a year. And the 3 years is just symbolic. I think what we're saying is we're going to work together for a very long time. For a very long time. And we have come together and agreed to put an investment between the two, organization of 1.1 million kwacha. And that 1.1 million kwacha is going to go towards a number of projects which John has already articulated. But one of them is for us to be able to contribute towards the Chipapa primary school or secondary school, which is in Chongwe, which is going to be constructed. Now Chipapa, secondary school for us is it's a very interesting school because, just about some time last year we took a visit, and visited the schools and the maternity wing that John was talking about. So for us, it's not just identifying a school because it's a school. It's a school that we felt we needed to be a part of and make a difference.
And officiating at the event, Ministry of Community Development and Social Services Permanent Secretary Pamela Kabamba stressed that government is promoting public-private partnerships in a bid to accelerate development in the country. Mrs. Kabamba notes that government's development agenda is huge, especially in the education and health sector, as it requires the participation of the private sector.
Every well-meaning Zambian, NGO, the private sector, and the stakeholders should therefore come on board to complement government efforts of providing support in our communities. This partnership is hence very important to my government and the people of Zambia. As you may be aware, government's desire to improve the well-being of children, especially in rural areas, demands a lot of resources and infrastructure to ensure that children can thrive. This memorandum of understanding between World Vision Zambia and Barclays Bank Zambia PLC makes it possible for two parties to galvanize efforts to achieve this through the following. One,
a public health research NGO conducting scientific research into the dual epidemics of tuberculosis and HIV, Zambat, has noted the need for more effective prevention strategies to steeply reduce the number of new HIV infections in the country. Zambat conducted a cluster randomized trial of the impact of a combination prevention package on population-level HIV incidence in Zambia and South Africa from 2013 to 2018. The study, dubbed Population Effects of Antiretroviral Therapy (POPAT), has since come to an end. Speaking on the sidelines of a media engagement on the background of the study and to announce the date when the findings will be released, Zambat Director of Research of Infectious Diseases, Professor Helen Ailes, says the findings will be announced on 4th March 2019 at the core meeting in Seattle, Washington. Professor Ailes disclosed that the study examined the impact of HIV prevention interventions in 21 communities in the Western Cape of South Africa and in Zambia. She states that the study, which saw over 400 people being employed, will help government scale up future HIV programs, identify cost-effective interventions that will help members of the communities get tested and treated.
So in Zambia, we employed 410 CHIPs in the 8 communities where we actually had interventions going on, because the other 4 were control communities. So these CHIPs came from the community. They were paid a salary, so they weren't volunteers, they were paid a salary as a community health worker, as an HIV counsellor. So we've been doing this study. We started in 2013. We finally finished the study in 2018, and we're just about to release the primary endpoint results, which are, did we manage to reduce the number of new cases of HIV in the communities where we had the intervention compared to those control communities. And that result we're going to be releasing to Ministry of Health at the end of this week, before we travel to Seattle in the United States, and the result will be released on Monday next week. at a press conference there in Seattle.
Some motorists and Lusaka residents have expressed disappointment at the directive by Lusaka Mayor Miles Sampa for the hybrid chicken statue at Chainama roundabout to be removed. Lusaka Mayor Miles Sampa has given Hybrid Poultry Farm a 2-week ultimatum to remove the giant statue at the Chainama traffic circle on the Great East Road, stating that the chicken statue contravenes the council's policy on advertising and the current policy, which entails that all roundabouts are kept simple and green with fountains or national hero statues in the middle. But the residents talked to have stated that they see nothing wrong with the chicken statue, which has been standing in the middle of the Chainama traffic circle for many years. The residents have suggested that the chicken statue be painted with national colors for it to be turned into a national monument. And some motorists feel the statue helps in location identification by visitors who are either in the city or country for the first time. Nakaonga has more in this report.
It has been standing on this traffic circle along Great East Road for more than 3 years. For many, it has been used as a location identification. Other people have used it as a reference when giving visitors directions. However, in a turn of events and much to the surprise and disappointment of some residents and motorists, Lusaka Mayor Miles Sampa has ordered for the huge chicken statue to be removed. In a letter dated 25th February 2019 and addressed to Hybrid Poultry Farming Country Director Hugh Morris and copied to the Ministry of Local Government, Mr. Sampa stated that the current policy on all roundabouts in the city is to have them simple, green with grass and a fountain or national hero statue in the middle. Among other points contained in the letter, the mayor indicates that all billboards or any other form of advertising can be placed outside the roundabout and not inside. But some residents talked to are against this decision by the mayor to direct the chicken company to remove the statue.
Okay.
Mwako direction you want to go bwera waza tukafika pa hybrid zenda so if ingatwa chitosa ichi zapezeka as a result wena ngwantu wazambopitirira pa maona uka in direction kulingana na mwamene yako ya rukani guys report boss yana bachoka kuma countries yena ngo kama bana mapasa tamene ichi atukafika shoro ukafika mu Lusaka zapeza chingufu ukafika pa chingufu maybe ndiye pale ma diversion manje kwa mimi ungaende.
And some motorists and commuters also shared the same sentiments.
I mean, mangala vantu vochoka kuma airport wazungu watu it's one of kwati tourist attraction vita so chichabe bwino ba chwa mizana.
So what you see.
What you see is that.
Others interviewed by this journalist have proposed suggestions to the local authority.
Ngachafuna vangachipinda choro flag chabe vachika ya Zambia flag ya vachisiya chosoche in fact chimatandiza na mijanga muntu afuna pasema direction chimatandiza maninga no pa chinkuku baranda about I be under about checha chimatandiza oti pasa location ya mushe kuli muntu mosa reflecting ala kuma Chelston uko chona chemunche sti tipe pressure na chele mo chona chemunche niwe ngafuna bachike flag ya Zambia.
Hybrid Poultry Farms have indicated that they will only be able to comment on the directive after consultation. However, in a latest statement issued by Mr. Sampa in an effort to respond to the debate and reaction from the public, the mayor states that Hybrid Poultry Farms is out of contract for the traffic circle in question, but the council will be happy to approve renewal if the company moves the chicken statue out to the hybrid turnoff and place a 0.5 meter high advertisement inside. The mayor goes further to state that residents of Lusaka must be aware that other companies such as banks have sponsored maintenance of most traffic circles in Lusaka, but none of them have put their advertisements inside their facilities except Hybrid. Therefore, whether the Lusaka mayor will rescind this decision or Hybrid Poultry Farms will go ahead to remove this chicken statue will be known within the next 2 weeks, as it is the ultimatum period that has been given to the company. Nakaonga reporting for QTV News in Lusaka.
The Professional Teachers Union of Zambia has clarified that the acquisition of land by the union is meant to help its teacher members. Pertu's Director for Public Relations, Matthew Nkata, says the union is concerned with the various challenges that affect its members while still active in employment and after they retire from the teaching service, such as the challenge of accommodation. Mr. Nkata explains that it is for this reason that the union wrote to the Ministry of Lands to consider empowering teachers with land. He states that the union is most grateful to government for the positive response over the matter, which saw a directive being given to the Provincial Lands Office to work closely with the union officials to find land in all 10 provinces across the country. Mr. Nkata has since called on the members to ignore statements coming from other teachers' unions, suggesting that some unions have become land dealers and are abandoning their core business of bargaining for better conditions of services for the teachers. Meanwhile, Pertus has joined in welcoming the decision by the Ministry of General Education to suspend the process of schools making financial contributions to the offices of the district's education board secretaries and provincial education officers for extracurricular activities carried out in schools.
As a union, we are concerned with what affects the teachers while they are working and when they retire. So this is why at one point we had to think twice to apply to the Ministry of Lands, who have responded positively. They have really written to us that we can start. We have an acquisition of land in all the 10 provinces where we shall be empowering our members with land. We don't want them to retire without anything. It makes a sad reading, somebody who has been working for government for about 30 years just to retire without anything. For that, we say, as Professional Teachers Union of Zambia, our members should be able to receive this as a good gesture because it will be able to empower them. They will not have to panic when they retire because they would have required some land. In the other situation, we would also want to commend the pronouncements that have been so far made by the current Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Education. He has stated 2 points that are really encouraging to the unions. One, it's teacher motivation. The second one is learner achievement. When you talk about teacher motivation, for us, this is a plus.
To end the news, we take a look at stories making headlines. Government says it will proceed with the constitution refinement process with or without the participation of the opposition alliance. National Democratic Congress consultant Chishimba Kambwili has been released on a 3,000 kwacha cash bail after spending a night in police cells. And Agriculture Minister Michael Katambo says the government has so far paid over 500 million kwacha to agro-dealers under the e-voucher system. That brings us to the end of the news. Thank you for watching.